I'm so excited about tonight. Tonight's going to be so different. Okay.
All right.
I've been watching some stuff all day long. I'm kind of amped up. All I want to do is talk. Like there's been some stuff on the news, and I just want to talk straight politics. And I'm not even going to do religion, just straight politics with you tonight. Let's do it. You ready? Let's do this big time. You ready for this?
We probably will be missing some fans if we do this, dude. I'm telling you, man. I've seen a couple of deals. I'm like, I don't know what's going on in the world. It's bad. I don't want to politics.
I'm just messing with you.
Don't.
I know. I don't want to get you all worked up, man. You won't sleep tonight if that happens.
I'm not ate up with it like I am. Football is what I've been watching a whole lot of. College football. It's not even started yet.
And I can't even deal with football because I had to hang around Crispin, and then I have to hear about Tennessee football, and then I got to hear about OU football, and I could tell you I could care less about either one of those. That's about as interesting to me, Tennessee football and Oklahoma football, as much as if some guy came down here and got on a podcast or whatever we're doing and started talking about carp fishing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Crispin's in a state where there's like only really one major university, and Oklahoma's kind of the same way. You're down there where there's like 20 of them. So y'all get confused at childbirth. Y'all don't know who to watch or what to watch. You got two NFL football teams. Y'all just got too much going on down there.
I don't actually care about any of them anymore. I don't even know if I mean, it's hard enough to watch anything about fishing anymore. It there's something going on right now. I don't even know what is going on right now. It's the title. Is this the old FLW Cup?
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up. I actually called Jeffries the other day, and I was talking to him about that. And I was like, I mean, as a businessman, like the title was going on, and I've been somewhat involved in fishing my entire life. And like, I was like, what is the title? Like, and I wasn't watching it. I still hadn't watched any of it. Yeah, dude, that's the Forest Wood Cup. So that's what I mean. Like, as a businessman, why there's been hundreds of thousands of dollars spent over decades to promote that, and then you just change the name. Like, I don't get that. Well, I mean, if you don't want to call it Forest Wood, fine, but like, still should be called the Cup, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm not joking. Like, so, and the only reason I know this is because I follow some of the guys on Instagram and stuff fishing it, and some buddies, and I saw them talking about it, and I was and I'm not knocking. I mean, I really want to be really upfront with this. I'm not one of those guys. Like, and I've always admitted that I'm not the biggest fishing fan when it comes to certain things. Like,
right.
I watch certain things for certain reasons, and it is what it is. And so, but I always paid attention to the Cup, and then so I was like, okay, and then I saw. I saw some guy posting about it, and so I went on there and I looked it up online, and I was like, didn't see his name, and I'm like, I really it was the first thing that popped up, and it went to Group A, and I'm like, oh, okay, so they're going to do this MLF style. So then I looked at it, and 5 fish, and I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. So now they're doing Group A, but not a 5. They're doing only a 5 fish deal, and so
were they doing a 5 fish deal? I thought it was all fish counted.
No. Okay, listen, I'm just saying, like, when I looked it up, and this is all I can do. Like, I looked it up, so it's
I think they fished all year under 5 fish, under the
right.
warehouse tour, but then
no, I mean it's right there. I don't know if you can see, but it's 5 fish.
And everybody's got 5, huh?
Yeah, it's got 5 for 15 and whatever, and they got to do a better job of this. So results if you just look it up instantly, it says results qualifying day 1. And so then I was like, well, my buddy's not in there. So I went to day, so I waited till today and went on there, and it still had day 1. And then someone posted about what he had. And I'm like, why isn't it updated? And then I realized you have to go in there and find day 2. It still shows day 1. It doesn't show.
Yeah, they got Group A and Group B, and then they swap off days. So only half of them are fishing on one day and half fishing.
Yeah, but it didn't show today updated of day 2. Like,
right.
Man, this is like, I'm really nitpicking. I get it. But I was a little, yeah. Where are they at? Mississippi River, which I don't ever know. They're in La Crosse, so I guess they're in, but, oh man, I don't, man, I got to fish that thing, right? I got the 2 years I fished the tour, I got to fish them both. They were really fun. They were freaking awesome. They were free. I mean, it was dude, it was a fun event. Like bunch of people there. Like I had a blast at them. I hope they're the same way. I don't know. I don't know listen, this whole thing. You really want to know what I want to talk about, Holman?
Hold on. Group A, my buddy Mike McClellan is leading that sucker.
Yeah, he's leading it.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. See, I hadn't even checked in.
Let's
Now
see.
I'm checking
Okay.
in.
Hey, okay. You've been fishing all your life.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Without looking anymore. So you haven't looked anymore, right?
No, I just made it to Mike and I quit.
Is that with just I want your honest truth. I think it's going to be a guess for you. Will he keep that weight?
I didn't even see his weight, but I did see the weight. It was very low.
It doesn't matter. Will he keep that weight to the end?
You mean, do they zero out?
Why do they have two groups?
Yeah, I think whenever they all make the cut, they do zero out. Yeah.
But do you know that?
No, I don't know that. I don't know.
We assume it. And like I said, I'm not knocking. I'm saying like he's like the reason I say that is this. You just said your buddy Mike McClellan's leading it, right?
Yeah.
Anywhere else, in year like, dude, my buddy's leading it, right? Does it matter if he's leading it?
Yeah, it matters. It does. Yeah.
How?
Well, because you can build up weight to where they can't catch you.
No, I know, but what if that's not the case here?
Oh, well, then, yeah. I mean, then it's like the old format back in the day when you and I were younger. And yeah, it was a lot of guys didn't win tournaments that would have normally won them under normal circumstances. But I think their weights may carry over. I think they do carry their weights.
Well, no,
I think they do.
But how can they carry over, dude? Like
yeah, because they're fishing on different days. You're right.
Dude, yeah, like what if you went out there today and it's 100 degrees and freaking sunny, and the next day
it rains, right? Yeah, that's not fair. So yeah, the weights don't carry over.
And I assume on a place like that, man, I mean,
no, you're 100% right.
A frog.
There's people watching this right now, like, dude, y'all are idiots. But yeah, I just haven't paid a lot of attention, I guess.
And I'm not going to dispute that with those guys.
I got a bunch of buddies in the top 10 on both groups, Group A and Group B. Like lawyers in there.
Yeah.
Bobby Lane's in there. Jimmy Reese is in there. I love Jimmy. Jared McClellan's in there. Dude, there's a bunch of guys catching them.
I know.
Alex Davis is up there in second.
I know. I just
Ty Al, Burge.
So my question is this: like
Kurt Mitchell. Lots of guys in the top 10.
Let's get into something real quick.
All right.
Me and you talk about this. We definitely talk about this behind closed doors. I don't think we have to talk about behind closed doors, but we talk about this, and I think it's been a subject we've talked about for, I would say last year a little bit. I would say way more this year. Where's this sport going? Like,
I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, I did one of my high school bass classes, fish matchups with a kid the other day. And I guess he's technically high school because he hadn't started college yet, but he's starting here in a week or so. And he's going off to Alabama to go to college on a fishing scholarship, which I think is great. One of the smaller schools south of Birmingham. I don't recall the name of it. Just like kind of my kid Sean did last year when he went to Bethel. He told me there's 58 kids on his college fishing team and this team in Alabama, right? And man, I couldn't help but think the same thing, like what you're asking, because like the Elite Series only has 80 spots. MLF only has 80 spots, but yet they've all, whether it be FLW, the old FLW, MLF, however you want to spin it, they all have high school and college fishing, and they all promote it, and they sell this dream. But then, there's just not very many places. And then the places that are there, it's not like, and this is a difference. So I don't want somebody chiming in down on the comments going, well, that's how sports are supposed to be. I agree. It is how they're supposed to be. There's only so many spots in the NBA and so many spots on PGA. But the difference is those guys are all getting paid to make it work. Whereas, over half the MLF guys and half the Elite Series guys are paying out of their pocket, more than half probably, so what's the incentive, right? Like, you're selling this kid this dream, and like, but it's not a reality. And the days of Van Dam and Denny Brower and Ike and Ellie and the things that they've made a living off of, I don't know are there for the next generation. Now, what I do know is there will be something, but they're not going to earn their income the same way. And I don't know how that is, how that spins with social media and different things and outlets that are out there, but I do think there's something for them. I just don't know where that is. But until this sport, and it hasn't done it yet, and that's what MLF tried to do. That's what they really spun off to do, was you got to bring Coca-Cola, Home Depot, McDonald's, and I'm not saying those three brands in particular, but of that status, you have to bring that kind of money in. And this sport's never been able to do that. So until that time comes, if that time comes, I don't know that anything changes.
FLW probably did it the best for that little small span of time back when
I agree.
they were fishing for like $2 million, and it was rolled gold, pretzels, and
that was a relationship with Walmart without a doubt. And then Walmart kind of strong armed some of their people to come along. So, but yes, 100%. That's probably the best that it's ever been done.
That's ever been done by that deal. Well, it's funny you say that, because like the view you just took, or what you just said, it's not that I disagree with. I look at it. Okay, so you brought up the fact of there's only so many spots.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that a different route.
Okay.
There's only so many premium spots. There's actually more spots.
Yeah, and I mean, and what are we really calling premium too, right? That's the question. I agree.
Well, I'll tell you what I consider premium. There's more spots now than almost ever before. Okay, but I got a nugget for you, home, and I'm gonna throw something out here in a second. You've got all of MLF. You've got the elites.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anyone says. When you pay $5,000 and first place is $50,000, you got NPFL.
And I knew you were going with that direction, and I agree with that. That's the one thing I see more coming up of.
If you consider that it is what it is, and you're paying $5,000,
yeah, for
a lower tier, what they're fishing for now on FLW, the Tackle Warehouse still is still a $5,000 entry fee.
Yeah.
So those guys are still paying $5,000, and there's 100 something there. So you've got, you can do the math. We've got more spots for professional. I'm throwing these big time quotes up there. Professional fishing than ever before. And why I'm going to use these quotes. Anyone listening to me, I will argue anyone to this day about this deal. If we've got all these spots right now as we speak, there's only about, I'm just throwing out a number, 30 to 40 guys that have qualified for an actual spot. And what I mean by that is, I've always stated, MLF, those were all invites. Don't hit me up that Jacob Wheeler didn't deserve to be there. It's not, I didn't say deserve, I said qualified. Like you brought up the PGA, you got to qualify. No one gets invites. Well, you might if you're.
I think the Elite Series has got a little more than 30 there, but I
said maybe 40. But yeah. Hey, listen, they asked a lot of guys from FLW to come over.
They did.
So it's only the older guys that qualified, the older guys that didn't leave, and then the newer guys that have done it. So maybe they're half, maybe they're 50. But there's some of those older guys that I don't know if they qualified. I think they just got it. They just, like, we're talking old school guys, like back in, no offense, back in your day that like got there. It's not.
I was waiting for you to say like Zell Rowland or something. No, you
well, I mean, and regardless, that's off topic. That's off track. What I'm saying is so no one qualified for NPFL, right?
Yeah.
And no one qualified for the MLF. And
right.
Listen, they have things in place now to qualify you know, I qualified for the tackle warehouse. You qualified for it. Andrew qualified for it. We three all, and I know some Dylan Hayes qualified for it. Like I know some, I'm not going to go into everyone who qualified. There are some guys that did,
Yeah.
But let's be honest, we didn't really need to. Now I heard this year, they're taking a very strong stance on that, which I'm always for. Like I think that that's how it should be. So my point to that is there's not a qualification. There are steps in there now. There have always been steps in for the tour and the elites, but then something like this happened a couple years ago, and next thing you know, there's not those qualified. Like they had to do what they had to do. My point being is there's a lot of spots for a lot of guys. What I always tell people is this: you might be fishing the elites. I don't know how good it is, and I could be wrong. I don't know, and I'm not knocking anyone. I'm just going to pick out but if you're finishing 60th place on the elites and averaging that, how well are you doing? And I know money wise, probably not very well in the stance of getting money from the actual winnings. And then I would expect, because I've just fished enough along the way to go, dude, 60th place doesn't give you a lot of spotlight. You get the recognition of being an elite, right? But there's not a lot of spotlight with coming in an average of 60th place or worse, because you're never going to be on TV. Like there's just some things that go along with that. I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just saying. So I consider like the Jacob Wheelers, the premier, the top 10 guys, you know, the Seth Fighters, like even the guys like David Mullins of last year, even if you're winning Angler of the Year for a while, if you get, there's very few of those premier spots. And that's where I say, I agree with you. Like you said, hey, there's only so many spots out there. There are. And I don't know what it's like being in those other spots, man. That's not a good, I don't think that's a great place to be in, although some people make it work. But then again, how do they make it work? Like, unless they've got phenomenal sponsors that are just like that.
I don't know that paying $5,000 entry fees makes us pro fishermen as much as it makes us pro gamblers. You know.
Oh, I don't agree either with that.
I've thought that for years.
No, but what I'm saying is, but in the NPFL, there's nothing higher, right? And so the NPFL there's nothing higher that is a national professional fishing league. I mean, It has it in their title. There's nothing below them either, but there's nothing above them. So, okay, so here's another thing, Holman. I'm throwing this out there. This is the big nugget.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm going out on a limb on this. I'm going to say this. In my opinion, like, this is just a hunch, guys. This is a better than a 1% hunch. I don't know where this percentage is. I think the elites are going to cut down. I think a lot of guys are going to get cut from the elites. And what I mean by that is, I don't think it's going to be the cut of how many open guys get in. I think it's going to be more.
That's what's about to happen. I agree with that.
That's just a hunch. I think NPFL is going to grow in the numbers. I'm just strictly talking about numbers. I have a strong belief that the NPFL will gain some substantial guys going forward. As of next year, I think they will get some guys. Some of them might be even in that top tier category. I think if the elites do cut some guys, I think those guys will go to the NPFL. I think the FLW, I think the tackle warehouse circuit, I think they're going to get cut. I think they're going to lose a bunch of guys.
Yep.
Those guys might go over there.
Yep.
So it might still be, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just telling you, if you're asking me right now, I would put the over on all of that happening as everything staying the same, which is going to, it's going to throw some things out there. And so that's my point. That was my original question. Not only is where is professional fishing going if all this does possibly happen, man, we are changing. We have learned one thing, that in the fishing world, as a tournament fisherman, if I asked you what do you hate more about tournaments? I'm gonna throw this off. I'm gonna come back to this. Okay. If I ask Bradley Hallman,
Yeah.
if a tournament starts off on January 1st with all these things,
Yeah.
what do you want that tournament to do? They say, here's a playbook, Hallman, of January 1st. What do you expect a great tournament organization to do?
There's lots involved in that, right?
Yeah, but like, what is one of the main things? I know this. I know your answer. You expect what out of that January 1st through at least December 31st? You expect that to do what happens? Just overall, you expect what? If they give you like, this is our playbook, do you expect them to follow that playbook?
110%. Like stay with what you started with January 1st till December 31st. And if anything needs to change in the middle of the year, you have to wait till next year to change it.
Correct. And we all hate, most of us hate.
Yeah, change.
Change.
Right. Well, the deal is that you're starting out at the beginning of the year with a target, right? And if that target's always moving, it's complicated. I don't like that. I like the target to be, now, if you want to change it next year and set the target somewhere else, that's fine. Move the target. But when we all sign up and we all pay our money in the beginning, the target needs to stay put until the end of that season.
And you've always said that not only 1 year, you like what target have you liked staying the same for the last however many years?
The Bassmaster Classic.
And that what trophy?
The Classic trophy.
That blue trophy.
Oh, and the blue trophy. Yeah, I mean, it's all stayed the same. That target hasn't moved.
Like you like setting a goal, and maybe the goal doesn't end this year, but it's like a 3-year
goal. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm following you now. Yeah, right? I mean, that's part of what I'm doing, right?
So you like that. You like that progression of like when you wake up tomorrow, your goal is still the same. When you wake up next year, you're like, hey, man, I'm still looking at that goal. I'm still following this process of how to get there.
Right.
Which brings me back to what we were just talking about with, and I'm not saying everyone's like this. I'm more like this. Like I can look up on a Sunday and want to see who's winning the elites on a Sunday, or I want to look at Thursday and say who's leading the event Thursday. Let's see how they progress through Sunday, right? Well, we don't even know what's going on this title championship, and that might be on us for not paying attention.
It is. It's part of it's on marketing, though. I'm telling you, if that email would have came through to me and said the Cup, I probably would have looked it up.
Okay,
but you changed the name, and I don't even know what it is.
Right, but we don't even know if day 1 will stay on day 2 and day 3 because it's all right. The Cup's always been 3 days. Same with the Classic. We don't even know how the tournament's going to shake out. They got different groups.
Different
I know
rules.
it's on us.
The targets moved a lot. Yes,
the targets moved. Yeah. So the target's going to. So at a small level. Right.
But I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way. I think
no. Listen, every one of there's so many customers, and I'm gonna call them customers, right? That's what we are. Me, we are customers of the sport as well, because we're watching things go on. So we're trying to follow, but there's been like Sunday. What happens on Saturday at 12 o'clock for you? What's your biggest thing on Saturday and come about September, October?
Football.
Oh. There you go. Same things. There's guys out there wanting to watch Sunday football. There's guys that, like, my point is that's what we're used to seeing, and we expect it. We plan around it. That's what it is. It is a pastime for us. It is something that we like. You better not.
You got to stop at the quizzes tonight, dude. I'm having a hard time keeping up.
Well, I know, but we don't like change, and all of a sudden they change all this stuff, and man, next thing you know, it's hard for us to follow because, man, it's all changing. And that's where I get with where is our sport going? Because not only we have all this change in professional fishing, you know, I don't believe that professional fishing is going to be here. It's
already changing. Yeah, it's already changing. There's other things in the market with social media and different things. I mean, you see some of the biggest YouTubers that are 4, 5, 6, 700,000. It's changing quick. And that's another thing I was thinking about the kids. You know, I was like, how do they fit in this puzzle? And like I say, I do think there will be something. I just don't know what that'll be. But, you know, I don't know. Like everybody that watches this stuff's not always interested in pro circuits either. And I get that as well. You're very much like me. Like, a lot of things I look at in a derby, like starting January 1st, is what's the payback, right? That's important to you. That's important to a lot of guys that watch our stuff. It's important to me because, I mean, you and I both spend a lot of time fishing at the regional level, local levels. And that's quite honestly, at the end of the day, what pays the best, what gives us the best odds of staying closest to home, spending the least amount of money, and the potential to make the most. And that will continue, right? And I think, like with the NPFL, you're talking about all the guys that will be out of the elites, all the guys that are going to be out of the tackle warehouse tour. There's going to be more and more of that each year, and more of those types of guys looking for a place to pay $5,000. Because what happens with like the opens that I'm involved in is that you spend so much, and the entry fees, quite honestly, just aren't enough, right? Like $1,800, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, it's a lot of money. But when you travel from my house to New York, and you, like I did last tournament, I finished 51st out of 200 guys, or 199, whatever they had, 200 guys. And I mean, at a tour level, that's a $10,000 check. But at the opens, that's nothing but a pat on the back. And even if you get a check at 38th or 39th or 37th or 32nd, I mean, it's just so minimal. It's not enough to even pay for your fuel to get up there.
It's under $3,000.
Right. Right. And you paid $1,800 in entry fee. So, you know, you're not paying for even your fuel and your housing for the week, probably, depending on what state you're in. If you're in New York, you're definitely not doing it because it's cost, you know, if you're in Alabama, maybe you can get by with that because it's cheaper to stay there. But yeah, that's the problem. And so more and more guys will be looking for places that those $10,000 checks are coming out, because it's, you know, it's a better payback, and on $5,000 entry fees, even though the entry fees higher up front, your total overall cost kind of makes sense. And I don't know, you get the gist, but there's going to be more and more of those guys. So, I mean, NPFL could grow tremendously. There could be another tour like that, spin off somewhere. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, but I don't know where this thing goes over the next 10 years. But man, the more tournaments come out, the more it muddies the water with professional anglers. And then Jacob Wheeler is just, you know, one of the guys on the 6 or 7 tours that are out there. Like, I guess at that point, if it gets that big, then maybe that's where somebody finally gets a McDonald's and a Coca-Cola. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah. And like you said, anyone that says, well, you can't just have another tour, or they're crazy. There's 14 million small tournament tours going along the country. And just listen, I'm not really for a lot of these smaller trails like around the house. And the reason I'm not for them is because, and it's not even so much, it's never really happened at Rayburn. It happens up around like the Dallas area. Yeah. The Rayburn area doesn't happen because most guys all flock to Rayburn. We're like number one lake in the country almost every, you know. The Dallas area, they have all these smaller lakes, and they don't have that big, awesome lake, right? That lake that everyone wants to go to. So what happens is
not everybody wants to go to Louisville.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet. Yeah. And so they have these little small, the more they spit out these little tournaments here and there, right?
Right.
And then the 50 guys that would have showed up, or 150 guys, there's 2 lakes now on that same Saturday, and 75 go over here and 75 go over here. And because it's a little bit closer, and this guy thinks these 5 guys are better. And then all of a sudden those break up, and they start breaking up. And then, you know, so I'm not a big fan of the smaller trails doing that club event, all that stuff. Club events, I don't consider the same thing as the trails, but you spread them out. And so there's no money, right? There's no money anywhere. It doesn't help the fishermen. It doesn't help the guys running the organization. It doesn't help anything. And so I'm always about having bigger trails with bigger money and keeping it more isolated, you know, to where it gets everyone involved. On the flip side, though, more professional trails, this is the only reason I'll say I don't mind them coming out with more of them. I don't like more professional fishermen. What I like is, y'all better watch out, because you never know when that trail, that one guy knows that one guy, right? You know, like that one guy starts a trail because he's got a guy that's willing to throw some money, and the next thing you know, you're looking up and it's sponsored by this freaking giant thing, and and they're giving out money left and right for an actual professional trail. You never know if the right people get involved, because how in 2021 that I'd say 99% of most companies and corporations have no idea that fishing is like the #1 hobby in the country, right? They don't know that. And so one of these days they're going to freaking run into the right guy that's going to be like, okay, I see what's going on here and I can help. So I don't know how Bass or any of these guys, I mean, that's not easy. I'm just saying, you never know. Like, one might, if one gets it, if one figures that out, dude, it's over. Like, they'll
No,
freaking
but there's
run the
already
table.
there's already so many people involved at Bassmaster and so many people involved in MLF that do have a lot of those connections that you would think could get some of that done,
I
and
know.
it hasn't
And it hasn't.
resonated with those companies. So I don't know. Let's change the subject, dude. I mean, the whole beating the dead horse about pro fishing circuits is like,
Yeah, forget about it.
it's dull to me at this point. Like, we know what's out there. There's all three offer really great things on all aspects. It's just what you're interested in right now, I guess. I don't know.
What have you been doing?
I've been fishing a lot. I've been fishing a lot of
Nice.
local stuff. I've been fishing Wednesday nighters, Tuesday nighters. Still hadn't won a damn one of them. Fished our third Tuesday nighter last night. We got a second and a third over there, but no first. That's just at Hefner. And then T-Bird, man, T-Bird is paying me back for not paying attention to her over the last couple of years. She's a round mud hole, and man, I've got the best fisherman in the lake on the boat with me too. Like, I hadn't fished with Daryl in tournaments in forever or ever. Never in my life. We fished together quite a bit. We never fished tournaments together, and he lives there and he's lived on the lake his entire life. But we can't do much better than one fish. We caught a 5-pounder last Wednesday and a 4-pounder the Wednesday before, and that was it. That's kind of the MO of that place. It's got good fish in it, but getting 3 or 4 of them to bite is pretty hard. It's only 3 fish limit, both places. 3 fish limits, but Hefner got a lot of fish in it. They all bite, but it's hard to catch a 4 or 5-pounder. It's hard to catch a 5-pounder.
I'm going to get to go fishing next week, like legit real fishing.
Really?
Yeah, we got that TTO coming up on Texoma, and we got off limits right now. I know that's hurting one guy who's been over there for, like, I don't know, a month, maybe a month and a half. There's no telling how long he's been over there. That's kind of a joke, but not really. He's been like, you know us, we just go over there and show up. We got 2 days of practice, but yeah, I'm gonna finally get to go do a little, like, an actual practice for a tournament. Dude, I haven't fished a tournament since I think me and Jason fished them TXTTs like May or something. And I mean, it's been kind of weird. Like, all of our stuff got canceled. So I'm kind of jacked. I've gotten to go here and there. I got to go to Rayburn a day, and I got to go to Lake Nack a day, and I got to go on the freaking the coast a little bit, down there in Florida a little bit. That was fun. But I mean, and dude, I gotta admit, the 2 or 3 days I've been out fishing, dude, it's been freaking awesome. Like, pretty darn good.
The days that I've been out have been terrible. We went over to we filmed a show on Lake Foss with a high school kid, and Foss is western Oklahoma, and it's kind of out there by Amarillo almost. And it's the biggest lake in western Oklahoma. And I heard lots of promising things about it. I've never been there. We didn't catch them very good. And I know I'll get some feedback on that when that video pops, but haven't been that good. Hey, I did shoot a video with John Sukup. Now that was different. We went last weekend. I think that was last weekend. What is today? Wednesday? I don't know. Recently, Sukup and I went before he left to go up north for his last tournament. Live scoping. Oh my God. I dropped the video on it today. Dude, that guy's a beast, that thing. It's August. Man. He caught a 6 and one close to 8 on a freaking live scope in August. It's just stupid.
I don't know. I am still to this day getting comments about that video. Like, I get more comments about that video than anything else, and it's nonstop. Yeah, it's all over the place. Listen, still 99% of them are all good, and what I mean by good are guys they just want to tell their story to me. And listen, I listen to them all, man. I've read them all. I've heard a little bit of crybaby stuff, and they totally missed the point. They didn't, like, they're like, hey, that's what, if you got out there and got some money, you'd go buy a live scope, you'd understand. I'm like, I got a live scope. Like, they don't pay attention much to the video. They don't get it. But yeah, I did. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. I don't like Jay Kumar. Jay Kumar is one of them dudes, right? Like Jay Kumar is smart. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Like real smart. And so, and I'm not saying did this on purpose, but he did throw out a video, or no, a picture of, I'm not even going to try to say this guy's name, partly because, but anyways, he did one out on his email as Bass Blaster, and it was like he had a picture of the guy's live scope and active target. So he was shooting live scope in front and active target. How do I do this? Active target out to the side like this.
Yeah.
So, and I was going, so hold on. So like that guy, so I'm like, okay, that guy has to have Garmin. Like, it was my whole deal. Like, when will it stop? Right. Because they're going to figure out, okay, I need more of them. Then I think his last email, he had David Mullins, a picture of Mullins on there. And I ain't got to talk to Mullins about it, but Mullins had 3 Garmins, right? Cause he runs all Garmin, and he had live scope on one. And then he's got another one. He's running dual because he's running perspective on the other one. So he's running live scope and perspective, right? And then he had Wheeler. I'm pretty sure Wheeler was talking about how he had next year they had asked him about his setups, and he was like something about active target. He was using more this or that, or he's like, I didn't use all of them for this last win. He said, what are you going to do next year? He said, I don't know, man. To be honest with you, it's just a preference deal, but I'm going to do my research and figure out what setup will best win me more stuff. I bring all that up because that's kind of my point, right? I made a lot of different points in my head. Maybe I didn't express them all in the video, that like, not only are we going, when will it stop, right? But there's so many guys that come and go, just because you have all that stuff doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, you're right. However, when you look at the best guys out there, and I just said Mullins was freaking, runner-up to Angler of the Year last year in the elites. Wheeler's freaking they're all getting more of it. And they're all like, if it wasn't that big of a deal, like John Cox, like, come on, we're not going to throw John Cox as the one.
Dude, look at Sukup. He's won 2 on the NPFL this year.
Right. Like, so
he's like a complete badass for that.
Yeah. Thing. So no one can sit there and say it's not. Like, if anyone thinks
but not everybody can just go buy one and go catch them like those guys either. It takes time. Like, you've got to do work. That's
irrelevant to my point of it being like, dude, it is an advantage. Like, almost like some guy I smarted out to this guy. He was going, what's the difference between power poles? And I'm like, dude, you buy a set of power poles. I'm sorry, like, dude, like, power pole screwed up in the whole deal, because power pole freaking made one of the best products ever, and it hasn't changed any. Like, I told him, I said, look, power poles made something that it alleviated a problem, right? Like, you were moving around in shallow water, this stopped it. You don't have to keep buying. I was like, do I have to buy 4 power poles now? Are we going to buy 4 power poles and 2 more other power poles? Are they going to make power poles twice as expensive? And now I have to buy another brand and have 6 power poles? That's like, you bought 2 power poles and alleviated the problem. Live scope 360 active target. Like, dude, I'm telling you, it's going to be a 360 view at one point in time. That's all live, and you're going to be able to cast anywhere you want to. It's coming. I've never heard that from anyone. It's going to be 360. You're going to be able to see 200 foot. You're going to see when a Bradley Holman goes over there and freaking dips his toe in the water 200 foot away on a boat dock. I'm like, hey, look, Holman's toes in the water. It's coming. And I'm like, it is what it is. Now, I don't care if it comes. Like, I'm like, whatever at this point. I already know it's coming. I can't even get upset about it.
You got to listen to this. You got to hear this.
Kumar was posting this stuff, and I'm like, man, he's going He's just throwing it out there. I don't know if he's probably never even heard that freaking video or anything like that.
So the comments that we get, and today I released that video with Soak Up catching those big ones, and I caught a couple of nice ones on spinnerbait too. One of them over 5, but all of them on live scope. And this guy that I've got, and you may have him too, because we share a lot of the same guys, but his name is Mr. Skeptical.
Oh yeah.
And I know that he's kind of a troll, right? Like he trolls around.
I can't figure him out.
Well, it's mine and your personality. We love it because like he's always gouging, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but sometimes he's like on point, like really good.
Oh, he is. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And then other times he's like, is he against me? He's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, I like him too. So he put today is like, the truth is you take live scope away from most anglers would struggle. Guys like Hackney would dominate. And I agree, Hackney dominates anyway. But I was thinking as he put that on there, I'm thinking, well, damn, dude, like you don't know me very well either. Cause like I would love to like, you know,
no.
rip them all off.
That's not what he's saying. I'm fine with that. That's not what he's saying. 100%.
No, I know. No, but I agree with what he's saying.
This is why I want live. This is why we need to start doing live. And guys, I promise, when we go to Smith Lake and me and Holman will be doing this live. I want you to agree. Like we're going to be sitting down.
Yeah, this thing's about to go live. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. But go ahead.
But yeah, man, like I agree with him. Like, you know, I mean, I agree with all the guys. I mean, let's rip them all off, turn them all off. With that being said, I'd like for all the information to be gone too. I mean, how could you make that a truthful deal and it's all 110% gone? I'd love for it all to be gone. But you can't do that. Like it's impossible to police. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I get a kick out of Mr. Skeptical all the time. He is Mr. Skeptical.
He is. I don't think he was saying it that way. What I think he was saying, I don't want to, this is what I don't like people do, is to assume something he said. Like I hate it when people do this about me. I'm guessing what he's saying is there's a lot of guys that are benefiting from that, from live target and that stuff.
Yeah.
When before those guys wouldn't have. And I'm not, because he knows darn well that like some guys caught him before it and after it, and it's just a tool. Like Wheeler's using it, but he's not dominating because of that. He was dominating. He was doing good way before this, right? But maybe this just makes him better, right? And I will admit, like, no, that's just, it's irrelevant. I was going to say, just he has the opportunity to go use all of them with different guys. Like if I got in the boat with John for like a week, there's absolutely no telling what I would learn, right? If he came down to Rayburn and I said, hey, I'm just going to get in your boat and not say a word, just sit there on the front deck. Like there's nothing I wouldn't learn. And that's part of fishing, right? I mean, if Wheeler goes around and gets that's him.
Well, if you look back at all of the history of tournament fishing, like, you know, anything that was articles written about, something that we can get something from, the guys that dominate, like Wheeler's doing, like, you know, Van Dam did, like Roland Martin did, right? When you go back that far, so then the stories become clear. But so in 2021, the edge, it's all about gaining an edge. Those guys had an edge. That's what I was getting at, is that for them to dominate, they had an edge. Now, the edge changes through the years, right? So like with Roland, it was information. He had a lot of it. He was also the best angler out there, but he had an edge. Edge information can be an edge. Time on the water and outworking other guys can be an edge, right? And I'm sure in Roland's time, that was pretty possible to do.
Do you know what mine was?
Local and a regional level, it's very easy to get that edge of just outworking everybody, right? You can spend more time.
Mine was a bait thing.
A bait, right? That's an edge.
Not one bait.
Multiple baits.
Man, just my story, and maybe I'll put it out there.
Hey, Brian Thrift, just like you, right? His edge when he came out, chatterbait. I mean, that dude had a chatterbait when nobody else had it. Can you imagine going to Okeechobee and those bass had never seen a chatterbait before?
And it's not like you went on it. It's just you look back and go, God, I've had so many guys go, how many tournaments have you won on that bait? And I'm like, none really. I'm like, but I've made like 1,000 top fives on them, or I would have made a 30th, but I ended up a third because I catch 2 fish. Like it you know what I'm saying? Like I always tell people, it's not how much you win. It's just like the difference is what I was telling someone is, why is live scope good? Right.
Well, that's what I was getting at is
Yeah.
that's the edge in 2021 is technology. Like that's it. That's where the cutting edge is. If you want to give yourself an edge, not everybody's playing on the same level of the technology right now. Dude, we get all these comments. There are, and dude, I can swear to you, this is a fact. There are 150 guys on these tours that we're talking about that have this technology on the front of their boat, and they think they know how to use it, or they think they use it appropriately. They ain't using it right.
Well,
Like not to the extent that
they're not. But so even in team events, and this is what I tell people. So they did this, and I don't want to get this wrong. You can probably maybe remember this article. Back in the elites, they wrote an article, and a guy, one of the top fishermen at the time, I'll never forget this, and he was 100% dead on. Like, dude, he was so dead on, it's crazy. He goes, if I could catch one more 2-pounder in every event, it would move me up like 30 spots at the end of the year. 1 2-pounder in every day of every elite event, one extra 2-pounder. And you're like, you're like 2-pounder. What is it? And that people don't realize how many times you weigh in for, or a spot, or
you still realize how close it is at the end of the year after 8 or 9 events with 100 guys, and you're looking at it and you're like, my God, man, like this is just a couple of pounds here difference.
A pound, man, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. And so I bring up live scope, everyone's like, how many guys are winning off live scope? Could care less. My baits hardly ever won any tournaments. It propelled me up from 15th to 4th or whatever. And so when you're out there with a live scope to the guy that doesn't, and you have no idea how to use it, right? Like you kind of barely know, you can catch a fish on it, but you're going down the bank, throwing at boat docks, doing whatever you're doing. And you just happen to like scan out there and see something and throw out there and like, hey, there's one. And you throw out whatever it's freaking anything, something just stupid, because some of those fish on live scope would eat almost anything, or just, they're not being messed with. And you catch a 3-pounder in an event, one 3-pounder, right? And you roll in there, instead of having 13, you got 14 and a half. And you're like, I made a check today, right? But the guy who didn't have it, he missed out on that opportunity. And I'm like, that's the advantage. It's not I'm going to go out there and blow out every tournament. It's that one advantage. And like you said, the information, right? Some guy gives you 42 weight points that suck, right? But one of them you throw out there and catch a 4-pounder, and you roll in there with a little bit more weight and finish 6th in an event and made a top 10. And you're going, dude, I'm glad that one weight point out of all them other ones like paid off. That's the advantage. And
a lot of times it's things, it's little things that we learn. Like I can remember when I was younger and learning just a tremendous amount of sport every day. And anything, my rule of thumb was this: anything that could potentially put one bass in the boat a day, one more bass, was worth spending a whole lot of time learning about.
Right.
Whether that be a bait, a technique, whether it be fishing line, line can be an advantage. Once you kind of get the lines down and learn when, where, and how. Now we're all in some really good fluorocarbons and stuff, but back in the day, that wasn't the case. Where to use braid, not braid. Hey, I saw it when we were at Hartwell last year. Couldn't believe it. Night and day. Co-angler gets 2 bites behind me. We're both throwing the exact same bait on herring fish, and I've got live scope up front. You know what the difference was? He was throwing braid and I was throwing mono on my bait, which you wouldn't think on a top water had that much difference. The difference was that braid, when you barely hit it, it makes that bait real lively and hit real hard. I figured this out because I was like, hey, throw your bait out there and throw it beside mine. We're both twitching. It's the exact same top water bait. His is just, mine's just like, so I start trying to work mine real hard to make it like his. And no matter how hard I hit it, I couldn't make it do his. I said, will you train me rods just for a couple casts? He's like, yeah. I fired that sucker out there and you just barely hit his rod. And that bait was just alive, son. Toof. That's what they liked. It was just the difference in that presentation, right? Paying attention to little bitty details, right? That's a huge advantage. Yeah. Things like that. Some guys are more clued into others and things like that. But anyway, there's lots of advantages out there. Technology is a big one right now.
Yeah. And listen, like for guys like us, how many more fish did power poles put in the boat for us?
Oh, guys like you and me that fish shallow, tons, dude. Guys are always like, would you trade one for the other? And I mean, for me, you hate doing that with sponsors, but yeah, I'll give you everything on my boat. I'm keeping my poles. Like
Yeah.
all I need is a rod and reel. I can stick that sucker in the water and tell how deep I am a lot of times, right? And yeah, power
I
poles.
fish, I fish a lot of grass. So um just having the depth finder on, knowing if like I really don't even pay attention to like seeing the grass in front of me. Of course, chances are most of those places I fish with grass, I already know like you could put me out there blind and I already kind of know. I've already practiced the stuff, so I kind of know there's not like an edge out there that I don't know how the edges already went. I already went down
Right.
that. I already knew where the edge is. I already knew where the casts were. But yeah, I'm with you. Like them power pools, man.
Do you leave your grass on when you're fishing grass in a
Yeah,
tournament?
man. Like I know people say, I've heard some guys talk about that peeing and that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the hard part. Here's the hard part that this is one of those fishing deals where I have a hard time. I can only go off of my knowledge, right, of the things that I've experienced. I've won quite a few tournaments on Rayburn fishing the grass. When you win tournaments on Rayburn, this is like that old school mentality that will get you in trouble. So I admit it, because I know some old school guys on Rayburn that are like, hey, out deep, this is the best thing. And I'm like, that's because you don't know the next best thing. Like I got the best thing. I promise you, I've done my research. It beats yours. But when you win tournaments on Rayburn, fishing the grass and doing that a certain way, you're like, it doesn't matter, right? Like it's more about finding the fish than it is about catching them at times. So I haven't been that guy that like turns them off and gets all like that. That never enters my mind. Now
If I'm
Ray Hanselman,
Yeah,
100%, 100% takes them off,
I don't.
especially by day 3.
If I'm flipping and I'm shallow, which I'm usually am flipping, if in practice I leave it on because I like to know the depth changes, the different places. I like to know where I got to bite, where I didn't. I like to know where creek channels are, little depressions, even like at Rayburn, where it's just a real subtle. When you're in some of those really shallow backwater places where it's just a 6 inches deeper, right? And sometimes that can make a difference. But once tournament day starts, I want them all off completely, 110%.
So I said I was never going to really talk about live scope's pretty interesting about some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to get into detail about it because I can't honestly say I know it all about it by any means, but live scope will tell you some interesting things. Good or bad. And like, I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I've seen live scope where every single fish I throw at it in a day eats your bait or follows it. And then other days, every single one I throw at like takes off from it, which is why I'm doing the video on this goofball, because of the interesting things I find with him. I'm not going to have this like great research that tells you everything why, but my videos about him will be very, very interesting to say the least. Now you might come away from it going, well, that didn't tell me anything, but you'll find every bit of it very interesting. And I think that's part of what LiveScope does is LiveScope's letting me look at this dude under the water. I just get to watch him 24 hours a day to a degree on like how he reacts to things that I don't know. I'll give you a tidbit on one of them, dude. You see how he's like real calm?
Right.
I can do all this.
Yeah.
Like, see how he doesn't, nothing.
Right.
Like, I can do this, right?
Right.
Now, I say that because he never moved, right? Now,
Right.
I go up here and he'll look. That's food. That's different, right? If I put something in here, this is the stuff so if anyone wants to know what this video is about, if I fed him, right? Okay, and he eats, and after about 5 seconds, he's down there like tuning it in, and I do this, dude, he's liable to freaking hit the back of that tank, like freak out. Can't tell you why. All I'm saying is he's one of the most skittish. He's very skittish while he's eating.
Yeah, they're probably used to something taking it away from.
I don't know, but like
a school mentality, how they
he
all
is not very scared of me, right? But like I'll move after I feed him, and he's looking for me. If I walk from the kitchen, but when I do stuff, when I feed him, a lot of times afterwards, he's very maybe for like 20 seconds. And it's not a good skit. It's like he's looking for me. It's like he runs from me. And so, like, how can that, like, you could probably sit there and go, I wonder why when you catch fish, this happens or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying it's pretty interesting. Like, that's it. I would have never have thought that, because like I said, I can move all the way around. Look at him. He don't even move. But I'm telling you, you give him something to eat, and within 10 seconds, I can be real still and just move like this. And he like goes to like he runs from me. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like, I'm going to throw all that stuff in there because I just find it interesting. You ain't too happy with me now.
The other night we were filming and you were talking about you glad you got it on camera, and I went back and watched what he did. You were talking about he did something. He was making all those popping noises.
Did you get it?
I did.
Dude, you got to send that to me.
So what started it all was he was laid back just like he is right now.
I know what he does. I just haven't. I can't get on video.
It started with that yawn. Whenever we're sight fishing and that fish does that yawn, and you're like,
now listen, he does that. I bet you he does that 100 times a day. People don't realize he does that 100 times a day.
He did the yawn, and then the second after he did the yawn, then he went to, and he got real excited and started doing that.
Did you hear the bass?
Yeah, you could
hear
a drum. And he's swimming around in the tank, and he's fired up.
Like he does it, dude. I mean, you can hear it across the room. He's
trying to get your attention. I mean, there's no doubt he's getting everybody's attention when he does that.
That's not it, man. I have never heard anyone talk about it, but I'm telling you,
it started with the yawn, and then it went straight into.
So you got to get that up and send it to me, because I want that. I want to show people that, because that's the only time of it. Yeah, he's it's pretty, like, it's interesting. I mean, dude, it's pretty interesting. Like, I got this. I'm working on. It's taking me forever to make these videos. Like, I've got 3 of them I'm going to do. And I'm on number 1, and I've been on number 1 forever. I'm trying not to make it boring. I say that because it's not boring to me, but I don't know. But like, there's a crawfish thing that I set up. Jason Bonds was over here, and we sat over there, and me and Jason, my wife, talked for like an hour about something, and I videoed the whole time. And it was a crawfish in the tank, and I videoed it. And I had to go through that whole hour to find what happened in the video. I'm not going to say what happened, but I finally found it, and it was just interesting on how it all played out. But I got it on video. I just set it up and just videoed it. I knew it would eventually happen. But yeah, send me that video. I want to show everyone that.
I'll send it to you. What else we got tonight?
So I think I can talk about this. I was up in your state last week.
Yeah. You told me you came to Tulsa. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is all fine. So Strike King, some people might find this interesting. Strike King bought Zebco Quantum, and I didn't really know what to think about it at the time. It didn't really concern me, I guess. And then it concerns me because of my role in Strike King's, product development, my new role with that's all it is. And so I got to go up there and meet those guys, and I'd already met them, some of them at ICAST, but I got to meet some guys at the plant, at the factory or whatever, their office, and it was awesome. Like, gave me a tour for a couple of days, me and Krishman, and just the man, it was pretty awesome to go there and see how our product development team is going to go forward, how we're going to, like, the process of things. I talked to my buddy today who works there about some projects we're working on. It's a whole different role we're going to go into, and how the processes work. I'm still kind of learning them. But today was one of the first times where we had set something in motion, and I got to call about it today, and we talked for like another 45 minutes about the whole deal. Came up with 3 new ideas, because some things that he was finding out about some of my ideas, because he was kind of like putting them together. Yep. He's like, man, I think this might happen. And I'm like, all right, put that in the back of your head, because that's another idea that we might go down that road. So, man, you brought up that whole deal about professional fishing, man. I one day I'll tell my story about how all this happened, about how I got in this role. I don't know how I could tell someone else how to get in this role. I'll be honest with you. I couldn't give any advice on this, because I just kind of got into it, like I wasn't looking for it to a degree, but there are roles out there in fishing. Like you said, it's amazing because I always ask those guys at Strike King and Lose, these younger guys that are coming out of college. I'm like, how did you get this job? Like you're 20 something years old and you got this unique kind of, it's not the job I'm doing, but in the business. And like, oh man, I got it this way. One guy was like, man, I put in 50 applications everywhere and they just kind of got with me. And next thing you know, like, these guys are pretty smart. Don't get me wrong. They have to be pretty smart guys and ready to work and stuff. But there are roles out there. Like there's roles within the industry that are out there, and to be honest with you, they're probably better roles than the fishing. Like I'll put it to you this way: if they're 25 and I'm 25, dude, they were doing way better than I was. I can promise you that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. That's just, when you hear one kid say there's 58 kids just on his bass team at his local university, and you're thinking 58, that's just one university, and I mean, and they're not all the kids, are probably that serious about fishing, but, and that's a lot more that were serious about it than when I was that age. That's for sure.
Man. So like this is real random. Let me ask you this. So me and you have thrown out the idea, thrown it out. We don't really know where this is going to go, but let me see where I'm going with this. I know where I'm going with this, but let me see how I'm going to phrase this. You can tell if anyone has ever watched where we do. You want to talk about have no script. We have zero script ever, and you can always tell by the way how we go off on things. If we were going to one of the ways out there to do something possibly as a young college fisherman or high schooler or whatever is getting in the boat with us and filming stuff. Like everyone says they want to, but it's very hard. It's very hard to really film. It's very hard to do this stuff. It's very hard to capture what we want captured. I've never really done it. I don't know if I had the money to actually pay someone probably what it's worth their time. However, you probably have a zero chance. I hope this doesn't come off as bragging, but it's not me. It'd be you too. You probably have a zero chance of getting in the boat with us any other way. Not because, just because it would be hard for us to just randomly take people fishing, right? I mean, me and you don't even get to go fishing that much anymore. Me and you don't even get to go fishing together, much less for fun, very, very few times. So, yeah. But darn well, you figure out how to get in a boat with me, chances are you're going to still be doing a lot of fishing with me. Like, hey, yeah, you don't have to film this. We're going to come and go do this. Like, you're going to learn so much. So there's some roles, and I wouldn't say intern stuff, but I've had one guy in all this time reach out to kind of do it, but he was in high school, and it was hard in high school, right? He always had, I mean, he was playing sports. I get it. Like, I don't blame him one bit for not being able to go, but, that's a great way, in my opinion, to maybe make $50 a day. I don't know how much, dude, you're going to come out ahead, and you'd be getting baits. You'd be getting some interesting opportunities. I would say that, to say the least. Some people might not find that interesting at all. You're going to get to see like the ins and outs of the fishing stuff. Like and we're not the only ones, right? I'm just saying there's some like being creative in how you want to do something. You just never know in this sport. I think the creative people make it. The creative people in this sport make it. The people who just do things like one track, like I'm just going to go fish and do this. I don't really care about Instagram or social media because that's not my thing. Like that kind of attitude gets you freaking on the bottom. But the guy, like,
we've had kids say that to us, and recently, and you tell them as nicely as you can, hey, you can't just go down a one-way road and expect it to. You better be able to catch them like Hackney if you're going to go down that one-way road.
There's about 10 guys like that in the world. So like, And even Hackney, though, like Hackney's a smart dude, and he even told me, he's like, Todd, man, like I don't know how many years I have left because I've almost passed that point, right? Not saying he's going to retire, but he's just like, he's not going to retire anytime soon, but he's like, man, I'm to that point where I don't know if it'll benefit me because, but he goes, if I was younger, like I would start if I would tell someone young, this is how I do it, because I wouldn't, because everything's changed. He understands the change of the tides, but he also recognizes that he doesn't have to change because he's not looking at it. I doubt he's looking at a 10-year plan, right?
Yeah.
And I doubt he has to, but
Everybody's different, but yeah, I mean, it's you got to have multiple things working for you for sure. Dude, I wonder if the guys could count how many times I've yawned tonight. Like I'm tired, but I'm not that dang tired, and I can't quit yawning. I have yawned, I guarantee you, 25 times in this show. Like it's been unreal. I think most guys just listen to this thing anyway. But yeah, I cannot quit yawning. Sorry.
Been on.
Have you noticed? Have you even noticed me yawning?
No, I mean, I stare at you when you talk. I pay attention to you when you talk. I also have this light over here, so I can't like look at it, man. Then I can't see anything for a while.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say one thing, man. I'm really like, man, it has sucked, man. I have fished less this year than anything, and I'm ready to get back out there. I'm just telling you, I feel sorry for Tex Holman, man, because I'm gonna freaking hit that plane. I'm gonna be like Holman out there at 3 a.m. out there idling around like an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, you get mad at it, like ready to go. Yeah.
Like,
but Tex Holman's a fun place. Like you know your way around, and it's a good pond.
We're going there. We're going.
The greatest thing about it is a lot of those Texas guys don't like it.
Oh my gosh,
they don't like it.
Fun. I love that place.
I know.
I love it.
I know. Oklahoma guys don't like it either. Like the Grand guys, and they hate going to Tex Holman. It's like the one that everybody hates, and you and I've always loved it.
Dude, look at our smiles on our face, dude. We love it. Like I love that place. Love it.
Yeah, special.
Dude, don't you like? Here's the one thing I'm getting. Like there was something on Bass Blaster today, and I didn't read who the quote was from, but it was like, I'm giving some shout outs to like Jay, man. And he was talking about these herring lakes. He's like talking about like, he was just like, I'm so frustrated with this stupid lake and I can't wait to go to another one. But that stupid thing has herring in it too. And I was just going, like I said, I've been out there twice in August or 2 or 3 times this year, just fishing around it. And dude, it's been pretty good, man. I've caught some like 5, 6, 7 pounders in August. And
yeah,
I'm just like, man, I'm not saying I'm spoiled, but dude, I don't think most of these lakes fish like this, like around the country.
They don't,
do they?
No, not in August. That's why I was so surprised with Sukup the other day. That it was such a good day. But
really,
yeah, it was just crazy, dude.
Crazy. It was at one certain lake. You think? Like I will say this: like certain lakes.
He's definitely just like what you've got there. He's got a lake that he likes a lot. Yeah, just like what you've got. But I don't know, man. I mean, I did a show years ago on Purcell City Lake. It was like in August, and I caught like a 27-pound bag out of that sucker, and it was like 2 or 3 on a buzz bait, and 2 or 3 flipping a jig. And I mean, there wasn't a fish caught deeper than 3 foot. 27-pound bag, 5 best. Like in this Purcell City Lake is a pond. Like it's not very big at all, but it's got some good ones in it.
Let freaked him out. Let me ask you this. See, this is for our live audience, man. But like, drop a comment if you lasted however long you last and you're listening to this. So me and Hallman have definitely talked about. We've always wanted to do this. I think this is going to happen more over the next year. I think you'll agree with me. Me and you are going to fish more in the boat together.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're going to make these things happen. So just for YouTube stuff, the people that like to like, would you would you want me and Holman more of a competition or more of a straight up just stupid smash on them, like try to like just like there's some times where, man, I think we can do some really interesting stuff. Would you want that, or would you want like competition stuff, or do you just want me and Holman just going out there and freaking just getting it? Let us know. I want to know. I want to know because I'm always interested on that, because I never really know. Like tip videos work a lot of times, but here's what's weird in my comments about videos. I get a lot of good stuff about tip videos, but I always tell everyone that I think my best videos I do are tournament days, because like when I say you can't fake it, right? We don't fake our tip videos. Like I think some people just get up there and do whatever, but you can't fake tournament day. Like you can't fake it. You can't fake the bait. You can't do any of it. Like this is what it is, man. And it ain't, there's a difference between like YouTube. And like I said, I mean, our YouTube stuff, me and Holman aren't going to go sit there and go, hey, let's go out to Thunderbird, or Grand Lake when a tournament's going on and fun fish, right? Yeah. That's no fun. It's going to suck. Like we're going to go on places that are freaking awesome. Don't get me wrong. When it's just, we're not going to pick the worst lake. We're going to pick good lakes. We're going to go crush on them if we're just out there fun fishing. But tournament days are like, you figure out how to do good in a tournament with 200 boats out there, 250 boats out there getting on it. I mean, that's as real as it gets. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, when you start appreciating 14 pounds, because it's in sixth place to start day one, 14 pounds is the same as catching 26 or 7 when you're somewhere that's nobody's there.
No, it will 14. Listen, 21 pounds in practice probably turns into 14. People don't like, so like everyone always laughs. Like this is so bad that like we'll go catch 25 pounds on Rayburn. And this was true, man. This was like, it took me a long time to learn this, because dude, I didn't always catch 25 pounds. Like 20-pound mark was a big deal when I was younger. Obviously fishing, I don't know if fishing's gotten better or people got better over the years. I think people got better, to be honest with you. But what I'll say about that is like, how do you catch 25 pounds? I'm like, shake off 30 in practice. And they're like, what? I'm like, dude, when you catch 20, you didn't get 20 pounds in practice. You got way more than 20 pounds in practice. It just turned into 20. 20 turns into 15. If you got 15 in practice, that's like 8. I mean, yeah. So like people don't realize it's very hard to go out there. And some days and chances are some of our biggest bags we've ever caught, it's because we didn't practice. It's not because we practiced and found them. It's because
I would say that, guys ask what's the biggest mistake that you see locals anglers make, and for tournament fishing, that's it. That is the number one thing that I think most guys do, is they stick fish in practice, and it's hard because they need the confidence, right? Like, you know how it is. I've got a row over here. I caught a 5-pounder there and a 6-pounder on down through there, and I know there's more like it. But the truth is that, dude, you may not catch that 5 or that 6. You may not catch it. But if you do catch it in practice, I can guarantee you're not going to catch it in tournament. So
I'll tell this one. What I think really good fishermen. I'm gonna tell my buddy, and I know he probably won't watch this, so I'm about it. I'm gonna tell an old Big Green Mile, Big Kelly Owens. I get on Kelly Owens all the time.
He'll be watching this tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'll get a phone call early in the morning. Jordan will, his son will. Kelly goes out there, and Kelly's won a Everstart. He's won a TTO. He's won a TXTT with Brent. So he's won on Choke Canyon, Amstead,
Texoma.
I mean, guys caught him, right?
Yeah.
If y'all don't know, some of those were with Brent, and Brent was like my first team partner ever on Rayburn. Best man at my wedding, like good dude. Like me and him fished for like 8-9 years together. What I'll say about that is it's like Kelly goes like, and Kelly's a lot like Holman. He goes these ups and downs about fishing, right? Like he's always all over the place. Like, I hate fishing. I don't ever want to do it again. And next thing you know, it's like, I can't get him away from me. He's talking about fishing every single day. But he'll go to these lakes, man. And within a day, like I'm out there, I catch a couple fish, but I come in and it's like me and Jason will come in and we're like, You catch some? Well, I caught some. It was kind of, Kelly's like, I caught 14. And we're like, 14? Like, it'll be one of them hard events, like real hard. And we're like,
Yeah.
day one. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I kind of went and did this, and this, because this wasn't working. And man, I think I figured them out. And then by day two, he's like, oh man, I had 14 the first 2 hours. And so I went and did others and all this stuff. And then by the tournament day, now granted, he's won some. So I'm just saying, but sometimes it's like, then he does horrible where me and Jason get better.
Keep creeping. Yeah.
He does
creeping.
worse. And I said, he goes, but he practices maybe a day more than us. So I don't like to practice more than 3 days, 4 occasionally. He might go 4, maybe even like he likes a couple of days. And I said, dude, you'll want an ever start. I remember that ever start because me and him were rooming together. It was the first time me and him ever roomed. Dude, me and him didn't catch a fish for like 3 days. And then we figured him out on the final day of practice. And like I gave him a little, hey, I think I caught like two keepers, which was a big deal. And then he took that and did something totally different and freaking smashed on him. Like, right. He almost didn't even need to catch a fish on the final day to win the event. But then he won a TTO, 2 days of practice. He won a TXTT on Amstead, 1 day of practice. And I said, hey, and that's not the only tournaments he's won. He's won a bunch of them. But I was bringing those up because I'm like, hey, you notice any trend with those tournaments? He's like, yeah, what? I'm like, you didn't practice hardly, but 1 day, maybe at the most 2. And I said, here's the reason why you got to stop practicing so much, because you go figure them out quickly. What happens with most people, and I'll say this, they look at practice fishing. This is a really good piece of advice. They look at practice fishing as, if I practice more than you, I'll do better than you. I'll work harder than you.
Yeah.
And if I work harder, I should beat you.
Right.
It's not always the case in fishing. We used to do that, like first one at the boat ramp, last one. Andrew goes out there and wins the championship. Remember, and he was freaking 10 o'clock in the morning, he had already figured out what he was going to go do. And he won the thing.
My boat broke down. I had something break. I'd gotten up early. Well, this was third day of practice, and I'd gone out on the lake. I'd fished 2 or 3 hours. I mean, dude, it's like 10, 30, 11 o'clock. I'm like, I got to go to the service yard. I can't. I got to get this fixed before tournament day. So I go back to the boat ramp, load my stuff up to go to the service yard. And there's Andrew. I was like, what are you doing? He's just unloading. He's like, I was wondering if I was going to go practicing today. And I was like, that dude's fixing to smash us. We were all staying together, and he won the tournament.
He won the Coastal Championship. But so like that whole attitude, I think, has changed. And me and you will never get out of the fact that we will always practice hard. Like that will never change.
Right.
I can't help it. But my point is, when I was telling Kelly this, I'm like, hey, look, man, everyone looks at practice as how many days. Like, I'll ask you this. If you're going to go fish an open, how many days of practice?
I want 3. I'm like you. Occasionally it's 4, but 3 is.
Now let me blow your mind. I'd say you've been practicing for 30 years.
Yeah, I have been.
I told Kelly this. I said, dude, you want to know why you go catch them on day one? Because you've had 30 years of practice, dude. You've had 30 years of practice that when you pull out on a lake, time of the year, where, like, you look at a lake, and for 30 years, regardless if you've ever been to that lake, you've had 30 years of practice to get ready for that one day. And I said, so when you go out there and find them, it's not that you went out and found them. You were just like, you started putting pieces together really quickly because you've been doing this for 30 years. It's not like you're blind to fishing. And I said, so you go figure them out very quickly because you look at it totally, like you went and cranked for 30 minutes, never caught anything. You went and did this for 30 minutes, nothing. You just kept, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna go throw a wacky rig on a boat dock. And it's like, don't. And like, I had 18 bites today in an hour and a half.
And I also think it depends on, and you'll agree with this, it depends on where you're from and what type of fisherman you are. So I'll give you an example. For someone in Texas and even in the Rayburn area, Toledo, you could come to Grand and it takes you a little while, but 3 or 4 days, if you'd never seen it, it's not going to get you on par, but you could get around and probably still cash a check. Couple of trips there, you get better at it. But my point is that when you come to the Arkansas River, now that's a place that if you came and spent 10, 12 days, it could do you a lot of favors, right? because then you learn how to navigate, you learn what you can get in and out of, where you can get bit. And that would be a big place. And it's that way for everybody. It's not just a river. So like a guy like me, go to the St. Lawrence River, they're catching them on Lake Ontario in 60 foot of water with an ounce or ounce and a half drop shot. And yeah, I just said an ounce and a half drop shot. Like I can't go up there in 3 days and figure that out. You know what I mean? That's going to take some time.
True. I agree. But like, yeah. And you're right. Like, and that's why I hate rivers, because I don't want to spend 12 days on a river trying to learn. Like, I don't think that's, I just don't like it. I mean, I just think I don't like rivers. There's a lot of guys that, and it's not that I don't like all rivers. It's just, I'm not a big fan of that. Like I always said, I love being on a lake because I love fishing against guys that are having to fish the same conditions as me, as opposed to a guy in a river going someplace that it took him an hour to like run over, a sandbar and do all this stuff. And he's fishing hydrilla, then there's no hydrilla in the entire place. And it's in this one backwater that 3 foot.
Yeah, but see, we're back to that same scenario, the edge. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the edge. I mean, look at what I don't know, Poche does in that little 14 foot or 16 foot, 8, whatever that little P row is that he runs out of Louisiana.
17, I think it's a 17 or 18.
Yeah, whatever the middle is for him to be able to get by, that's what he runs. But he's able to access waters that everybody else is not able to access. And it's an advantage, right? It's an edge. That's an edge. That's another way to get an edge. Aluminum boats. So like all the guys complaining about technology, aluminum boats have come a long ways too. And John Cox, I mean, it's an edge. That is the edge. It's that aluminum boat.
And until you roll up to till you run up to Lake Erie or Champlain or Rayburn, it's 120 out of north, and that edge just went all like it ain't
Didn't
even
slow Cox down. He still ran up there to the 147, got her done.
Yeah, it was kind of calm. It was calm. He's gotten lucky. He's gotten real lucky. I think they're going back. Are they going back?
I don't know.
I think they're going back in January. I can't remember. Maybe not.
How long we been on here? Can we close this thing down?
Let's close it down till next time. We got our house at Smith. We're going to be.
Yep. We don't have the house yet, but we're going to get a house. Yeah. Yeah. We'll get it figured out.
We got to get live going. We even let old Andrew up in there.
Yeah. We'll have Andrew and the pang rack.
We'll be having all kinds of live capabilities.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
I
think we can do a live show between now and then, though. We can do some practice stuff up. We need to work on that, get some live. Just put it out on our social medias the day before or something.
Okay. No, we'll do all that.
All right, dude. Well, I appreciate it. I've enjoyed it as always. Feed that fish. Feed that fish.
I'm gonna feed him. He ain't too hungry. He's wondering why his light's still on right now, is what he's thinking.
Yeah.
When I turn that light off, he's gonna go sit right in that corner down there, get right on the bottom, and he won't move for the rest of the night. Guaranteed.
That's why night fishing always sucked.
Dude, he don't move at night. He don't.
Yeah.
He sits right down there in that corner, sits there until I wake up the next morning.
While they're a sunfish.
Yep.
Sunfish. Well, see you, Bubba.
All right, see ya.